I'm Scott Allen Miller, and here on Sam IT today, continuing our RAID and storage discussions, we're going to talk about blind swapping. Last time we talked about hot swapping, and that's really common. But blind swapping is something a little bit different. Blind swapping is what people are actually mostly excited about with hardware RAID as opposed to software RAID, or as opposed to almost anything else. With blind swapping, we're able to remove a hard drive from a system and replace it without having to do anything else, like preparing the hard drive, telling the operating system or the RAID card that we're going to do that operation. This is only useful in cases where a drive has failed. We can't do this when we're simply popping in a new drive because it wouldn't have any action to take, and that would just be hot swapping. So blind swapping is unique to the situation where a drive has failed in an array and we're replacing it. Otherwise, blind and hot would overlap. But if you were doing pure hot swapping and you replaced a failed drive, you often have to prepare the system before you remove it, not shut it down. That would not be hot swap. But you have to prepare it so it knows what to do when the drive is replaced. And in many cases, it'll just sit there waiting for you. But in a blind swap situation, you can go and remove a drive and pop a new one in, and the system takes care of itself. You don't have to interact with it other than replacing the drive. Blind swap is really important in the SMB space because a lot of places that you don't have a lot of expertise, whether it's because your IT professional that runs the shop doesn't work with RAID very often, or maybe you have remote hands doing the work, you have a bench tech that's doing it, or you just have someone who works at a location being hands for you and doesn't know anything about computers. But when you have blind swap, it's easy to say, well, find the drive with a yellow light instead of a green light, pull it out, put a new one in, that's it. It's all physical, there's no tech involved, there's no need to know anything. So blind swapping is very, very handy, but we can always live without it, but it is something that we tend to look for, and a lot of people simply assume that blind swapping and hot swapping are the same things, but that's not the case. With pure hot swapping, the computer will simply sit there and wonder, what am I supposed to do with this drive? Thanks for joining me today on Sam IT. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to support us, there'll be a link to Patreon in the comments.